This is something weird. I don't know what's going on there. What kind of bugs those are. They've got bright green backs on them. Doesn't look like they're coming out of there. They were just hanging out for the night. That's weird. I won't do any pruning on most of these trees. I want to let them gain as much strength as they can. Be strong over the winter, and then once the spring rolls around and the buds start plumping up a little bit, then I'll do some pruning on everything. For now, I just want to trim this one back a little bit. It's pretty top heavy. It's flopped over in the wind a couple times, and these leaves are big. They're pulling all the water out of this pot really quickly. This was actually a volunteer plant. It just kind of showed up. It's a balsam poplar. It's my only one, so I don't want to just pull it out and kill it. I also don't want to repot anything this time of year. But this balsam fir is my main plant in this pot. I've got lots of buds on there, so I want it to do well. So I kind of like this shape here, this movement in the poplar, and then it goes really straight all the way to the top. I'm not going to cut it off all the way down to here, where in the spring this is where I'll cut it. I just want to take off some of this weight on the top. Leave 3 good leaves. This one leaf down here is not so great. I'm gonna leave it though. It's still got some surface area to keep working. What I'm gonna do for now is chop it right here. I'll plant the cutting. That's a lot less top heavy now. This is my first time growing a poplar, so I'll just observe the cut and the top bud and leaf for the rest of the summer and fall and see what happens with everything. I'll plant this cutting, and that's it for now for this one. Got this avocado that I planted the seed of, not sure how long ago. I'll look back through my photos and videos, but it's been at least 6 months. I think I started it over the winter, brought it outside in the early summer, late spring before I left. It's grown quite tall, but the leaves aren't doing so great. I think probably the soil's not good. It was just some potting mix I brought from the store and I didn't do anything to at all. So I'm gonna put it into good bonsai soil and hopefully it'll take off more healthy. I'm gonna bring it inside for the winter, so we'll see how much it grows over the rest of the fall, late summer. It's September 4th right now, so I've got another month or two maybe, tops. Anyways, it's still got some new leaves coming out, so it's doing all right, but I think the soil just isn't good for it. Hopefully that's the issue. I've been fertilizing fairly decently. You can see some more darker green picking up on the newer leaves, but the younger leaves were very yellow, pale yellow, kind of pale greenish. Anyways, I'll take it out and show you the roots. So the roots in here aren't too bad. Growing pretty thick at the bottom. You know, it's a tropical tree, I guess. Avocado fruit tree. I can probably snip a couple of these thicker roots off. I don't know. It seems like it was just the tap root and then whatever's growing off of that at the bottom. There's not a lot going on around the edges of the pot. A few roots, but a lot of them seem to be dead actually. I don't know what's going on with this soil, but I don't want to completely bare root it, so I'll just take a little bit off of this maybe, and then just get to the roots. There's nothing growing out that side. I think the issue is that the roots came out the bottom of the seed, the avocado pit, and then there wasn't a lot of room for them to grow actually, so they just went, they can only go down and outwards, but it was basically potted at the bottom of the pot, so I'm just gonna do that. And I'll place it in here like this, fill it up with some more soil, and hope for the best. Okay, that's about all I can do for it now. Hopefully that works and starts growing a little better. I did cut this one root off that was kind of has this corkscrew effect. Slinky like, kind of weird. Left a bunch more roots on there, but I wanted to take that one off. Probably should have left it, but anyways. Put it down there in a shady spot. I might keep it there for the rest of the summer and until I bring it inside. We'll see what happens. See how it starts growing. What you doing up there, bud? Just eating the sap, hopefully. Doesn't look like scale or aphids or anything. They were doing this in the spring too. They just hang out at the junctions of the branches and suck up the sap, I think. I don't think there's bugs or anything infesting this tree. Bunch of buds coming out from lower down now. That's a good sign. Time to prune back this Weigela finally. Weigelia, some people call it. It's got some long growth on it. I'll cut that back a little bit, leave some of the high growth for privacy this winter, and expose this Thuya cedar tree that's kind of hiding behind some of that growth. That's how much I've taken off that Wigela. We've opened up the cedar pretty good. There's 2 main leaders coming out of it. That's where it was cut down before I moved in. Hasn't grown out anything from the main cut, but there is one branch down there that's been growing straight up. I did do a little bit of pruning on this guy in the spring. Decluttered some branches, took out the crossing ones, just isolated the branches and got them growing outwards instead of inwards and upwards. They all have this kind of weeping effect that I really like in this tree. I think that's, you know, pretty natural looking of a tree with heavy winters, lots of snow on the branches. So yeah, I might be digging this one up and taking it with me. I think the owners want it out anyways, so it might be mine moving into the future. If it can survive being transplanted into a big pot, Yamadori style. I might cut half of it off, so maybe I'll try air layering it. I don't know if a cedar will air layer. I'll look into it. And we'll see how it goes. Check out these little beauties. Raspberries that I pulled out of the ground back in spring and planted in this pot. There's a whole bunch of shoots growing out. It'll do great next year, but I'm surprised and delighted that it produced some fruit already this year. That's awesome. I'm gonna pick this one, wash it off inside, and eat it. That's very cool. September 21st today. We're supposed to get a lot of rain and wind tomorrow. 4 to 5 centimeters, so I'm just tucking everything away until it clears up. Been raining quite a bit all night last night and all day today. It's the 22nd of September. It's gonna keep raining tonight and into tomorrow. It's just kind of at a little slow point right now, but the trees look pretty cool, all bunched up together, all wet from the rain. It's like a big mixed forest or something. Bunch of different tree types all kind of randomly placed together. Got a raspberry ready to go in there. September 23rd. This is after the majority of the rain that fell yesterday and over the last 2 nights. We're supposed to get a little bit more tonight, but nothing as crazy as we had yesterday. About 5 centimeters in 24 hours, something like that. I just want to show you, it's been 23 days since I pruned my ficus microcarpa here. We've got a lot of new growth. There's 3 branches coming out the top where I did the main cut. 3 coming out of here. Almost every branch has 3 new shoots coming out of it. See 1 at the end here, and 2, and then tiny little bit of 1 starting to come out down there. It's in addition to this main branch that I left on with the growing tip untouched. I probably can get rid of this leaf. It's kind of shading out the buds down there. That's fine. Anyways, it's growing really well. It's been 23 days since the prune. I don't know how much time I'll have left with it outside. It's getting down to about 13-14 degrees at night. I don't think I'll risk it too much past, let's say, 8 degrees or something. Once it gets around that range, I'll probably bring it in. Maybe I've got another couple weeks, few weeks, I don't know. We'll see how this goes. So one thing I wanted to do on my white ash here, white ash tree, I already did 1. I don't wire my trees. I'm not really into that, but I do occasionally tie them down like this. This is artificial sinew. It's kind of like a guy wire, I guess. So I collected this tree just about a year ago, maybe 14 months ago. I think I put it right into here. I'll have to go back through my old videos and photos. But this one I had kept in over winter inside, you know, room temperature all winter. So it didn't really do so well this year. I gave it a pretty major prune in the spring, I believe, and this is what's grown back. So nothing's come out along this, what I was hoping would be the leader. It died at the tip. There's no buds, but the trunk is still green all the way back to here. And then this one died back to there, but there's a small little side branch coming out. But the main growth has been 1 and 2 new branches come out right at the base of this thing. This one is like 20 centimeters long. Internodes are really long at the end there. So I'm gonna tie this one down too. And hopefully those main shoots can grow outwards these ways. And hopefully that'll get a little bit bigger next year and it can be a new leader, because this one and this one I'll chop back pretty far once they stiffen up. Cut this one here, and I'll probably cut this one maybe way down here. Let it grow again next year. I'll do the cutting in the spring. For now, I'll tie it down and keep it over winter like that. Alright, so I finished the bending here. This one is not so extreme. That was the first one I did. I'll probably cut it way back to this bud up top there so it can grow out this way, because I've got a branch going that way. This one I made kind of a more extreme curve at the end here. It's pretty flexible right now, but I don't know, if this one doesn't take off, I can grow that as the new leader. Otherwise I can cut that off really low and the next one will come out that way. So I'll have kind of a 3-pronged tree, 3 main trunks, I guess. Hopefully I'll get some growth, a little bit of back budding or something as well. I really like the root base on here. So it's this big snaking root that goes along the ground. It comes up. This is all dead wood that I cut off before, but it's got this cool root coming out there and a nice root coming out there. There's also a big one coming out on this side with some good roots snaking out of it. You can see lots of roots in the ground there. So I think it's doing well. Survived the harsh treatment I gave it by keeping it inside last winter. I've learned my lesson. I'll let it go dormant this year and hopefully it'll regain some vigor for next year's growth. Sorry the neighborhood's a little bit louder today. Don't have much time to do these things after work. Okay, so this is my paper bark birch, or white birch. For sure it is. It's got the characteristic fuzzy bark and these green kind of longer buds here. They're kind of shorter and plump like this lower down the tree, and then they get really long, and then up at the top here, that's what it looks like. Anyways, it's getting really top heavy. It keeps falling over. I don't want to worry about it anymore. So I think for now I'm just gonna chop off the top 3 leaves. They're pretty heavy right here, and then I'll see how it responds, if there's any dieback. Let it go dormant in the winter, and then if everything's good, I don't know, apparently birches are kind of tricky to keep as bonsai, but I think from what I've seen and read, probably it's best to wait until they flush out next year and then harden off a little bit and then cut it there at that time. So if I leave it up here, let's say up here for the winter, I'll let it grow a little bit next spring, and then eventually I want to cut it way back down here. It's got some kind of interesting movement at the bottom to be a smaller bonsai, so maybe I'll leave the first 3 buds and then cut it right here. We'll see what happens. This is my, oh, I have another little birch seedling, but it's not doing so well, so this is my only birch really. I thought I had a few of them, but it turns out some of them were alder, gray alder tree. So anyways, I'll just make that cut right now. Just want to get rid of these top heavy leaves up here. So I'll just snip it off like that. We've got 1, 2 buds at the top, and then 4 decent leaves left. It's September 26th today. Temperatures are starting to get a little bit cooler, so it's probably heading into dormancy anyways fairly soon, within a month. I wanted to give it some time for that cut to heal up, keep some sap running through this tree, and then hopefully it winters well and stops tipping over in the wind. I'll give an update on this one next time anything major happens with it. I'll plant the top of this birch as a cutting. It's a bit late in the season, but we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll chop that leaf in half. It's a little big for that small cutting. Okay, I chopped that leaf in half and I nestled the cutting in between all of my ficus microcarpa cuttings, which I planted almost a month ago, about 3.5 weeks ago, and they're all still doing well. There was one really small one that I had to throw away. It was turned black. All the leaves were falling off and black. Everything else looks really good. It looks like there's even new growth coming out of some of these. Everything's still green and fresh, so there's probably still some rooting hormone left in the soil there. I gave it a tiny bit of water, but I haven't watered this thing once in the last 3.5 weeks. I'm gonna put this bag back on top and hope it all roots. So it's September 27th today. Almost 4 weeks since I took these cuttings. These two look like they're okay. This one and this one. Growing tips look alright still. The ones I left on anyways. Which is just these two on this one cutting. This other cutting, I snipped everything off. Doesn't have any new buds yet, but looks alive. This one here is definitely dead. Get rid of the leaves too, so they don't start molding away. Hopefully I'll get 2 out of 3 cuttings to root. That'd be nice for my willow leaf ficus. Back on the shelf.